Rich People, written and published by Audiobooks. What separates the wealthy from everyone else isn't luck, special talent, or even hard work. It's an entirely different relationship with money that most people never discover. Rich People, the secret of money, pulls back the curtain on the hidden principles that the financially successful have understood and applied for generations, often guarding these insights from the masses. While most struggle with money their entire lives, trapped in patterns of earning and spending that keep them perpetually stressed, the truly wealthy operate by a different set of rules altogether. This book reveals how rich people think about money, how they make decisions, what they focus on that others miss, and the counterintuitive habits that build lasting wealth. By understanding and applying these principles, you'll begin to see money not as something you chase, but as a natural resource that responds to specific laws. Laws that, once mastered, can transform your financial future in ways you never thought possible. Lesson 1. Wealth follows attention. Money flows like water, always seeking the path of least resistance toward the areas of focused attention in your life. This universal principle explains why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly, while others remain trapped in scarcity despite their best efforts. The secret lies not in wishing, hoping, or even working harder. It lies in understanding that your sustained attention literally shapes your financial reality. Consider how you direct your mental energy throughout a typical day. Do you constantly check your investment accounts, strategize about business opportunities, and engage in conversations about wealth creation? Or does your attention gravitate toward bills, financial worries, and the latest consumer purchases? The difference between these two patterns creates vastly different financial trajectories. Your mind is like a powerful spotlight. Wherever you point it, energy and resources will naturally follow. This principle becomes even more fascinating when we examine the habits of wealthy people. They obsess over cash flow, market opportunities, and value creation. Their attention remains fixed on expanding assets rather than fleeing liabilities. Even during leisure time, their minds naturally drift toward wealth-building possibilities. This isn't because they're greedy or materialistic. It's because they've trained their attention to align with abundance rather than scarcity. The good news is that you can consciously redirect your financial attention starting today. Begin by conducting a simple attention audit. For the next 24 hours, notice where your thoughts go regarding money. Are you focused on what you lack or what you're building? Are you thinking about spending or earning? Are you planning for scarcity or abundance? This awareness is the first step toward rewiring your financial focus. Your brain has a remarkable ability to spot opportunities that align with your dominant thoughts. When you consistently direct your attention toward wealth-building activities, you'll begin noticing lucrative possibilities that were always present but previously invisible to you. Conversations will naturally shift toward business and investment. Resources and mentors will appear at the perfect moment. What you focus on expands, while what you ignore contracts. This isn't mere positive thinking. It's about training your mind to become a precision instrument for wealth creation. Just as a magnifying glass can focus scattered sunlight into an intense beam, your concentrated attention can transform ordinary situations into extraordinary opportunities. The key is maintaining unwavering focus on financial growth rather than allowing your attention to scatter across endless distractions. What would change in your life if you devoted just 1 hour each day to intensely focusing on wealth creation? Not mindless daydreaming about being rich, but strategic thinking about generating value, spotting opportunities, and expanding your financial intelligence. Your attention is your most precious resource. It's time to invest it where you want your wealth to flow. Lesson 2. The wealthy buy assets. Walking through an affluent neighborhood, you might notice something peculiar. The truly wealthy often live in modest homes, drive practical vehicles, and dress simply. This observation reveals a fundamental truth about building wealth. The rich prioritize acquiring assets over displaying status symbols. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out. This simple distinction marks the difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who merely appear wealthy. The average person fills their life with liabilities disguised as status symbols. Luxury cars that depreciate, oversized homes that drain resources, and designer items that hold no real value. Meanwhile, the wealthy quietly accumulate income, producing assets, rental properties, business investments, dividend, paying stocks, and intellectual property. Consider two people who each receive $50,000. The first person buys an expensive car, immediately transforming that money into a rapidly depreciating liability that demands insurance, maintenance, and fuel. The second person invests in a small rental property that generates monthly income. 5 years later, the first person's car is worth a fraction of its purchase price, while the second person has earned back their initial investment plus ongoing passive income. This pattern repeats across all wealth levels. Those who appear rich often finance their lifestyle through debt and high-paying jobs, creating a fragile financial structure that collapses without constant income. True wealth builders focus on acquiring assets that work for them around the clock. They understand that every dollar is a potential employee that can either sit idle, escape through liability, driven spending, or be put to work generating more dollars. The wealthy also recognize that assets come in many forms. Beyond traditional investments, they seek to own things that appreciate or produce income. Specialized knowledge, valuable relationships, automated business systems, and intellectual property. They view their education, skills, and network as assets to be cultivated and leveraged, rather than expenses to be minimized. The path to wealth becomes clear when you begin evaluating every purchase through the asset liability lens. Before making any significant financial decision, ask yourself, will this purchase take money out of my pocket or put money in? This simple question, consistently applied, naturally guides you toward wealth-building choices rather than wealth-depleting ones. This isn't about complete denial of luxuries. It's about sequencing. The wealthy understand that assets come first and lifestyle upgrades follow from asset-generated income rather than depleting earned income, or worse, taking on debt. By focusing first on acquiring assets, you create multiple streams of income that eventually support whatever lifestyle you desire, built on a foundation of real wealth rather than the illusion of prosperity. Look around your life right now. What percentage of your possessions are true assets that generate income or appreciate in value? What supposedly prestigious items are actually draining your wealth? Building potential. The answer to these questions reveals your current trajectory and, more importantly, illuminates the path toward authentic wealth creation. Lesson 3. Patience outperforms greed. The casino floor bustles with energy as hopeful gamblers chase instant riches, while in a quiet office nearby, a wealthy investor calmly reviews long-term market trends. This contrast perfectly illustrates why patience consistently creates more millionaires than the pursuit of quick wins. The wealthy understand that sustainable fortunes are built through disciplined restraint rather than impulsive opportunity, chasing. Throughout history, the most substantial fortunes have been accumulated by those who planted seeds and tenderly nurtured their gardens of wealth over decades. Warren Buffett amassed over 99% of his wealth after the age of 50, not through aggressive trading or risky ventures, but through methodical, patient investing. The same pattern appears in real estate empires, business dynasties, and generational wealth. Patient capital compounds while rush decisions collapse. The challenge lies in our biological wiring for immediate rewards. Our brains evolved in an environment where immediate consumption meant survival, making it difficult to override these ancient impulses. Yet the wealthy have learned to transcend their primitive urges by creating systems that reward long-term thinking. They automate their investments, establish clear holding periods for assets, and deliberately distance themselves from their capital to avoid emotional decision-making. Consider how trees grow. They don't sprint upward in sudden bursts, but steadily add rings year after year, developing deep roots that sustain them through storms. Similarly, patient investors weather market volatility by focusing on fundamental value rather than price fluctuations. They understand that true wealth is built not by timing the market, but by time in the market. The patient accumulation of wealth also allows for the power of compound interest to work its magic. A modest monthly investment, consistently maintained over decades, can grow into a fortune that dwarfs any quick windfall. This mathematical reality is why the wealthy often appear to be doing very little with their money. They're letting time and compound interest do the heavy lifting. Think of patience as a form of financial leverage. While others exhaust themselves chasing the next hot investment or trying to predict market movements, patient investors conserve their energy and emotional capital. They make fewer decisions, incur lower transaction costs, and suffer less stress. This conservation of resources becomes a competitive advantage that compounds over time. The next time you feel the urge to chase a promising investment opportunity, pause and ask yourself, am I acting from patience or greed? The answer will often reveal whether you're building wealth or merely gambling with your financial future. The path to lasting wealth isn't found in the exciting peaks of speculation, but in the steady ascent of patient capital deployment. Lesson 4. Money responds to competence. Many people believe wealth comes from wanting it badly enough or from discovering some hidden secret. But desire alone, no matter how intense, rarely attracts lasting financial success. Money responds not to need or want, but to demonstrated competence in managing what you already have. Think of money as a sophisticated entity that carefully observes how you handle even the smallest amounts. When you consistently demonstrate wisdom, discipline, and skill with your current resources, money naturally flows toward you in greater quantities. This isn't mystical. It's purely practical. Someone who mismanages $1,000 will likely mismanage $1 million. The wealthy understand this fundamental truth. Your current money habits are a preview of how you'll handle future wealth. Financial competence begins with mastering basic money management skills. This includes maintaining precise records, understanding cash flow, living below your means, and making informed investment decisions. But beyond these technical abilities lies a deeper form of competence, the emotional mastery required to make rational financial choices under pressure. The truly wealthy have learned to separate their sense of self-worth from their net worth, allowing them to make decisions based on logic rather than emotional impulses. Consider how you handle your current finances. Do you know exactly where every dollar goes? Can you resist purchasing things you want, but don't need? Have you developed systems to automate savings and investments? Your answers reveal your level of financial competence. The good news is that competence can be developed through deliberate practice and conscious attention to your money habits. Building financial competence requires treating money with respect, regardless of the amount. Start viewing yourself as the CEO of your personal finances, making decisions based on data rather than emotions. Study successful investors and entrepreneurs not to copy their specific strategies, but to understand their decision-making processes. Notice how they remain calm during market volatility, how they evaluate opportunities, and how they think long-term rather than seeking quick gains. The most powerful way to attract money is to prove you can be trusted with it. This means keeping promises to yourself about spending and saving, honoring financial commitments to others, and consistently making choices that align with your long-term wealth goals. As your competence grows, you'll notice opportunities naturally gravitating toward you. People will want to do business with you, invest alongside you, or entrust you with their resources. Take a moment to imagine yourself as a skilled money manager, someone who handles finances with precision and wisdom. What would change about your daily financial decisions? How would you approach spending, saving, and investing differently? Your journey to wealth begins with developing the competence to handle money masterfully, starting with whatever amount you have today. The universe of money is always watching, waiting to reward those who prove themselves worthy of its trust. Lesson 5. The rich create before consuming. Most people get their paycheck and immediately begin planning how to spend it on restaurants, entertainment, clothes, or the latest gadgets. This consumption first mindset keeps them trapped in a perpetual cycle of trading time for money, only to watch that money quickly disappear. The wealthy operate with a fundamentally different approach. They prioritize creation and investment before indulging in consumption. Consider two people who each receive $1,000. The consumer immediately spends $800 on a new smartphone, leaving $200 for basic needs. The creator invests $800 in equipment to start a small side business or in assets that generate passive income, using only $200 for immediate needs. 6 months later, the consumer's smartphone has depreciated while the creator has established a revenue stream that generates additional monthly income. This creation first principle extends beyond just money. The wealthy understand that everything of value must be created before it can be consumed. They ask themselves, what can I build, develop, or invest in today that will generate more resources tomorrow? Rather than depleting their energy and resources through immediate gratification, they channel their resources into ventures that expand their capacity to create wealth. The magic of prioritizing creation lies in its compound effect. When you consistently invest your resources into productive assets or capabilities before consuming, you build an ever-growing foundation for wealth generation. Each act of creation, whether launching a business, developing a valuable skill, or investing in income, producing assets, adds another layer to your wealth-building infrastructure. However, this doesn't mean living a life of complete austerity. The wealthy practice strategic consumption, enjoying life's pleasures from the overflow of their creative endeavors, rather than depleting their seed capital. They understand that true financial freedom comes not from restricting all pleasure, but from building systems that generate more than they consume. The shift from consumer to creator requires a fundamental change in how you view resources. Money, time, and energy become seeds to be planted rather than fruits to be immediately eaten. Each dollar is evaluated not for what it can buy today, but for what it could generate tomorrow. This perspective transforms spending decisions from, can I afford this, to, is this the highest leverage use of my resources? Before your next purchase, pause and ask yourself, could these resources be used to create something that generates more value over time? Your answer to this question, and more importantly, your consistent actions based on that answer, will largely determine your financial destiny. The wealthy understand that life's greatest satisfactions come not from passive consumption, but from active creation. The joy of building something meaningful, the pride of solving valuable problems, and the freedom of generating passive income far exceed the fleeting pleasure of mindless spending. Your creative capacity is your greatest asset. Invest in it first, and let consumption flow from the abundance you generate. Lesson 6. Financial language creates reality. The words you use about money shape your financial destiny more powerfully than any budget or investment strategy. When you declare, I can't afford that, you're not merely stating a current fact. You're programming your subconscious mind to maintain that reality. Your financial vocabulary acts as a set of instructions, telling your brain what possibilities to notice or ignore, what actions to take or avoid, and ultimately, what results to create in your material world. Consider how differently your mind processes I'm investing in my future versus I'm spending my savings. Though they might describe the same action, the first phrase activates creativity, possibility, and growth, while the second triggers scarcity, loss, and limitation. Wealthy people instinctively grasp this distinction and carefully curate their financial language to support abundance rather than reinforce lack. The metaphors you employ about money are particularly influential. When you think of money as a flow, you naturally seek ways to increase that flow and remove blockages. But if you see money as a pile to protect, you'll focus on hoarding and defend against loss. Your unconscious mind takes these metaphors literally, working tirelessly to make your chosen imagery real. The wealthy consistently use metaphors of cultivation, creation, and expansion. Money as a seed to be planted, a tool to be wielded, or an ally to be partnered with. Even subtle shifts in language can dramatically alter financial behavior. Replacing "I should save more" with "I choose to build wealth" transforms a guilt-based obligation into an empowering decision. Switching from "that's too expensive" to "how can I create the resources for this" moves you from passive limitation to active problem solving. The wealthy understand that language either expands or contracts possibility. There is no neutral financial vocabulary. Your money story, the narrative you tell about your relationship with wealth, emerges from the accumulated weight of your financial words. If you habitually speak of money with stress, struggle, or resignation, you author a story of perpetual financial challenge. But consciously choosing words of capability, abundance, and growth writes a new narrative of expanding prosperity. The wealthy carefully craft their money story through intentional language that supports their highest financial vision. Take a moment now to notice the specific words and phrases you most commonly use about money. Do they reflect and reinforce the financial reality you desire to create? Or do they subtly perpetuate patterns you wish to transform? Your current financial situation grew from countless small moments of chosen language. Your future prosperity will emerge from the new money vocabulary you begin cultivating today. Lesson 7. Wealth requires worthy problems. The size of your financial rewards directly reflects the significance of the problems you solve for others. This fundamental truth explains why some people struggle financially while others seem to attract wealth effortlessly. A minimum wage worker solves relatively simple problems that many others can handle, while a successful entrepreneur creates solutions that impact thousands or millions of lives. Consider the contrast between a local convenience store owner and someone like Elon Musk. The store owner solves the valuable but limited problem of providing accessible goods to neighborhood residents. Musk, on the other hand, tackles massive challenges like sustainable energy, space exploration, and revolutionary transportation. The scale of compensation naturally follows the scale of the problem being addressed. Your path to greater wealth begins with actively seeking bigger problems to solve. This doesn't mean abandoning your current work, but rather looking for ways to expand your impact within your existing sphere of influence. A teacher might develop an innovative learning method that can be digitized and shared globally. A plumber could create a franchise system that revolutionizes home services. The key is identifying problems that affect more people or solve issues more deeply than current solutions. The wealthy understand that money is simply a measurement of the value they provide to others. They constantly ask themselves, how can I help more people? How can I help more people? How can I solve this problem more effectively? What larger challenges am I uniquely positioned to address? These questions guide them toward opportunities that naturally command higher compensation. Your unique combination of skills, experiences, and insights positions you to solve specific problems better than anyone else. Perhaps you've overcome challenges that millions of others still face. Maybe you've developed expertise that could transform an entire industry. The intersection of your abilities and the world's needs contains your greatest potential for wealth creation. Start by examining the problems you're currently solving in your work or business. Are these the most valuable problems you could be addressing with your capabilities? Could you expand your solution to serve more people or solve deeper issues? Often, the path to greater wealth doesn't require learning entirely new skills, but rather applying your existing abilities to more significant challenges. The most direct route to increasing your wealth is to intentionally graduate to solving larger, more complex problems that affect more people. This might mean scaling your current solution, targeting more impactful problems, or finding ways to solve existing problems more effectively. What problem could you solve that, if successful, would naturally command a fortune in return? Lesson 8. The Leverage Principle. Time is the great equalizer. We all get exactly 24 hours each day, whether we're a billionaire or just starting out. Yet some people manage to create exponentially more value and wealth with their time than others. The key difference lies in understanding and applying the principle of leverage. Leverage is the art of multiplying your impact without multiplying your effort. The wealthy grasp this fundamental truth. Trading time directly for money is a limiting strategy that can never lead to true abundance. Instead, they seek ways to decouple their income from their personal hours worked. They build systems, deploy capital, utilize technology, and empower teams to generate value even when they're not personally present. Consider two business owners. One is a highly skilled consultant who charges $500 per hour for their expertise. The other creates online courses that teach similar skills, reaching thousands of people simultaneously while they sleep. The consultant, despite their high hourly rate, is still constrained by the number of hours they can work. The course creator, having invested time up front in creating valuable content, now enjoys virtually unlimited leverage as their work reaches more people without requiring additional effort. The wealthy also understand that leverage extends beyond business and into all areas of wealth creation. They leverage other people's money through strategic borrowing, other people's time through effective delegation, and other people's expertise through strategic partnerships. They recognize that trying to do everything themselves is the surest path to staying small. But perhaps the most powerful form of leverage is intellectual leverage, the ability to solve a problem once and benefit from that solution repeatedly. This is why software companies can become so valuable. They solve problems once through code, then distribute that solution globally at essentially zero marginal cost. The wealthy are constantly asking, how can I solve this problem in a way that scales without requiring my direct involvement? This mindset shift from how can I do more to how can I create more leverage is transformative. It means focusing on activities that have the potential for exponential rather than linear returns. It means building assets that work for you rather than working more hours yourself. It means thinking in terms of systems and multiplication rather than addition. To begin applying the leverage principle in your own life, examine your current activities and ask, what am I doing that could be automated, delegated, or systematized? Perhaps more importantly, ask yourself, what high-value activities am I uniquely positioned to do that could create exponential returns? The path to wealth opens up when you stop trying to do everything and start focusing on leveraging your unique strengths in ways that can scale beyond your personal limitations. Lesson 9. Strategic ignorance is bliss. In a world drowning in information, the wealthy understand that selective attention is more valuable than encyclopedic knowledge. Every day, countless financial headlines, investment tips, and market predictions compete for your mental bandwidth. The truly successful don't attempt to consume it all. They practice strategic ignorance. This counterintuitive principle stems from a deep understanding that mental energy is finite. Just as a laser becomes powerful by concentrating light into a focused beam, your financial intelligence becomes potent through deliberate limitation. The wealthy identify the critical few pieces of knowledge that drive results in their chosen domain and systematically ignore everything else. Consider the typical investor who frantically follows every market movement, reads dozens of financial newsletters, and constantly switches strategies based on the latest expert opinion. Compare this to Warren Buffett, who famously avoids daily market quotes and focuses primarily on understanding business fundamentals. His strategic ignorance of short-term market noise has helped him maintain clarity and conviction in his investment decisions for decades. Strategic ignorance extends beyond investing. Successful entrepreneurs often deliberately avoid studying their competition too closely, knowing it can lead to imitation rather than innovation. Instead, they maintain laser focus on their customers' needs and their unique solution. They understand that creativity flourishes in the space created by selective knowledge rather than in the chaos of total awareness. This principle applies equally to personal finance. Rather than trying to master every possible investment vehicle or optimization strategy, the wealthy focus intensely on the few financial moves that matter most in their situation. They might become deeply knowledgeable about real estate while remaining purposefully ignorant about cryptocurrency, or master stock investing while avoiding complex derivatives entirely. The key lies in distinguishing between essential knowledge and interesting distraction. Essential knowledge directly advances your specific financial goals and aligns with your chosen wealth-building strategy. Everything else, no matter how intriguing, becomes noise to be filtered out. This focused approach prevents decision paralysis and enables decisive action. What makes strategic ignorance particularly powerful is its compound effect over time. By consistently directing your mental energy toward your chosen area of focus, you develop deeper insights and pattern recognition that the generalist can never achieve. This specialized knowledge, combined with the clarity that comes from reduced mental clutter, creates a significant competitive advantage. Think about your current information diet. What financial information are you consuming out of habit rather than necessity? Which topics, if ignored, would create more space for mastery in your chosen domain? Strategic ignorance isn't about remaining uninformed. It's about becoming extraordinarily well-informed in the areas that truly matter while deliberately tuning out the rest. Lesson 10. Money magnifies character. The greatest misconception about wealth is that it changes who you are. In reality, money acts as a powerful amplifier, taking whatever qualities already exist within you and displaying them to the world on a grander scale. When someone claims that money ruined a person, they're observing qualities that were always present but previously contained by limited resources. Think of money as a megaphone for your inner nature. If you're naturally generous, wealth will allow you to express that generosity more broadly. If you tend toward anxiety, more money will simply give you larger things to worry about. The stingy person becomes noticeably miserly with wealth, while the compassionate soul creates foundations and movements that touch countless lives. This amplification effect explains why sudden wealth often leads to spectacular falls from grace. When someone lacks the character foundation to support their financial position, the money rapidly magnifies their existing weaknesses until collapse becomes inevitable. Lottery winners who squander fortunes aren't creating new behaviors. They're simply acting out their established patterns with bigger numbers. The wise approach is to treat character development as a prerequisite to wealth rather than an afterthought. Before pursuing greater riches, honestly examine how you handle what you already have. Are you trustworthy with small amounts? Do you keep financial promises to yourself and others? Can you maintain healthy boundaries around money? Your answers reveal what wealth will amplify in your life. The most successful people invest heavily in their character development, knowing it creates the container that will eventually hold their fortune. They cultivate qualities like integrity, self-discipline, and emotional intelligence with the same dedication they apply to building business skills. They understand that their internal growth must keep pace with their external success. This principle extends beyond people to organizations and societies. Companies with strong cultural foundations tend to handle success gracefully, while those built on shaky values often implode when flush with cash. Nations with robust civic virtues create sustainable prosperity, while those lacking moral fiber see wealth accelerate their decline. Here's a profound question to consider. If your current net worth suddenly multiplied by 100, what aspects of your character would you be proud to see amplified? What qualities might you need to develop first? Your honest assessment of these questions is far more important than any particular investment strategy or business tactic. Money is not neutral. It's a powerful force that will inevitably reveal and magnify what lies within. Build your character with the same intensity you build your wealth, knowing that your internal and external prosperity must grow in harmony. Your future fortune depends not just on what you know or do, but fundamentally on who you are becoming. Final lesson. Rich people. As we conclude our exploration of the hidden principles that govern wealth creation, you now stand at a pivotal crossroads. The knowledge you've gained sets you apart from the majority who continue to operate under financial illusions that keep them trapped in cycles of struggle and limitation. What you do with this knowledge will determine whether you join the select few who experience true financial abundance or remain among the many who merely wish for it. The secrets of the wealthy aren't complex or mysterious once revealed. They involve a fundamentally different relationship with money, seeing it not as something scarce to be hoarded, but as an abundant resource that flows toward those who understand its nature. The wealthy don't just think differently about money. They feel differently about it, talk differently about it, and most importantly, make decisions differently because of it. Perhaps the most powerful realization is that wealth is not primarily about lucky circumstances or privileged beginnings. While these factors can create advantages, true financial mastery comes from adopting specific mindsets, habits, and strategies that anyone can learn. The evidence surrounds us. Countless individuals have transformed their financial reality by implementing the exact principles you now possess. As you begin applying these concepts in your daily life, remember that transformation happens in stages. First comes awareness, recognizing the limiting beliefs and patterns that have shaped your financial reality until now. Next comes decision, consciously choosing to release old programming and embrace new ways of thinking about and handling money. Then comes implementation, taking consistent action based on these new understandings. Finally, results emerge. Gradually at first, then with increasing momentum as your new financial consciousness takes root. The journey ahead will test your commitment to these principles. Old habits of thought and behavior will attempt to reassert themselves. Well-meaning friends and family may question your new approaches. The financial media will continue promoting conventional wisdom that keeps most people financially dependent. During these challenges, return to the core truths you've learned and remember that your results will ultimately speak for themselves. What separates those who merely read about financial principles from those who actually transform their circumstances is consistent application. Knowledge without action remains merely potential. Each day presents multiple opportunities to implement these wealth secrets. From how you speak about money, to how you make purchasing decisions, to how you invest your time and resources. Each choice either aligns you more closely with wealth consciousness or reinforces old patterns of limitation. Remember that the journey to financial abundance isn't just about accumulating money. It's about expanding your capacity to create value, solve problems, and contribute meaningfully. The truly wealthy understand that money is simply a reflection of the value they bring to others. By focusing on increasing your value and solving increasingly significant problems, you ensure that financial rewards naturally follow. The principles you've learned aren't just about personal enrichment. As you implement them and experience their effects, you gain the ability to positively influence others' financial lives as well. Your growing prosperity creates ripple effects that extend far beyond your immediate circumstances. Jobs are created, charitable causes are supported, and others are inspired by your example to transform their own financial reality. True financial abundance comes with responsibility. The wealthy who endure for generations understand that money must be stewarded wisely, not merely spent or accumulated. Consider how your growing resources can create lasting positive impact, support causes you believe in, and leave a legacy that extends beyond material wealth alone. This higher purpose infuses your financial journey with meaning and sustainability. The path to wealth is not always linear. There will be setbacks, unexpected challenges, and moments of doubt. What distinguishes those who ultimately succeed is their resilience in these moments. The ability to learn from financial setbacks, adjust their approach, and continue moving forward with unwavering confidence in the principles they're applying. View every challenge as feedback rather than failure, an opportunity to refine your approach rather than question your destination. As you close these pages and continue your financial journey, maintain a balance between purposeful action and patient allowing. The principles of wealth require both deliberate implementation and trust in the process. Like a farmer who diligently plants seeds and tends the soil, then allows natural forces to produce the harvest, you must take consistent action while trusting that results will manifest in their proper time. Your financial future is no longer a mystery or a matter of chance. You now possess the same knowledge that has created wealth across generations and cultures. The only question that remains is how thoroughly you will implement what you've learned. The transformation from financial limitation to abundance begins with a decision, one that you can make right now, in this moment. The world of true financial freedom awaits you. Step into it with confidence, clarity, and the certainty that comes from understanding the secret principles that govern wealth creation. Your journey to prosperity isn't beginning with the closing of this book. It's simply entering its next, more conscious phase. The wealthy aren't different from you. They simply know what you now know and act accordingly. Join their ranks by becoming a conscious creator of abundance rather than a passive recipient of circumstances. The secret of money is now yours to apply, to share, and to transform into a lifetime of financial prosperity.